I don't know where. Right here. Is this okay?
Yep, that works fine, man.
Okay.
So, all right, how you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you? I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
My name's Michael Heiss.
Michael. I'm Jeffrey Glock, like the gun, G-L-O-C-K.
I like that. So, I'm going around today, and in light of Memorial Day, I'm asking people, what does the phrase "support the troops" mean to you?
Wow, what a great, I mean, as far as great, I mean great as in deep, profound question, especially these days. Support the troops. Support the troops means, to me, I take this personally because my biological father was deceased in 1968 from a brain tumor when he was 40. And my oldest brother Tom, who's 10 years older than me, they're both Marine veterans. My father from World War II, from Iwo Jima was his most famous, well, that was his I won't say Napoleon, whatever it's called, but anyhow, he did his time, and he was wounded twice. You know, he went back from war, God love him. And my brother Tom, he saw to it, rather than get drafted in 1971, when he graduated from high school, he enlisted, he volunteered. They were both Marines, and they both served the country as I guess as well as a textbook soldier can. I mean, as far as pro-USA, unfortunately, the whole Vietnam thing was a little crazy, I should say. Anyhow, support the troops. I definitely, I myself would have been gone into the military had I not had a higher calling, which was to be a teacher, an educator. And my brother Tom, the Vietnam veteran who did 2 tours in Vietnam, saw some pretty scary stuff. He told me the day he got back from Vietnam in '73 that if I ever joined the United States military, he would kill me.
So what was fueling that sentiment?
What was fueling that sentiment was he felt very betrayed. I guess it was LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, kind of sold him a bill of goods, the soldiers that went over there, and unfortunately, I guess I can say I'm very liberal and I guess pro-democratic and anti-Republican, but not with that conservative whole let's get the war machine going just to get the economy restarted. Anyhow, I'd support the troops any way I could. I haven't. Recently, I donated a cell phone. I forget what program that was, but I donated it to the enlistment center or the recruiting center right downtown in Westchester. I regularly, my fiance Erin and I regularly take stuff over there to send to the guys over there, because really a lot of these guys are half my age, less than half my age, and I still think they're being sold a bill of goods. And I was fortunate enough to have an older brother that told me the truth about the United States military, and I'm thankful he did. And I didn't get involved, and I can really, I love my freedom. I love the liberty that the United States offers to its citizens and people that aren't even citizens. Anyhow, to sum it all up, I support the troops. I definitely don't support the objectives that the United States government are trying to obtain right now. I guess that's for another talk one-on-one. But
well,
anyhow,
what I was going to say is, so what do you think about the idea of ending the wars and bringing them home as a method of supporting the troops?
Well, you know what? Jeez, that seems so obvious that, like, when you state it, I almost feel like a simpleton. Like, that's so obvious and just so right on, like dead on. I totally agree with that, and thank you for bringing that up. I seem to, I can't really see the forest through the trees. That, you're right. That should be the main objective: getting our soldiers home safely, and let's just end these conflicts. That they're it's a travesty. They're travesties, and these guys really didn't know what they're signing up for. Anyhow, I'm glad I met you today, Michael, and
thank you.
I'm glad I was able to run my mouth for a little bit. It makes me feel better. I'm glad that you pointed out something so obvious to me, and I really appreciate it. I'm going to pass that on.
So, well then, if what do you think about this then? Are you familiar with Ron Paul at all, like during the presidential election?
A little bit. I can't really remember if he's Democratic, Republican.
He was running Republican, but he was a Libertarian. But the main point with this conversation is basically he got more funding from active duty military than every other candidate combined, and he was literally the only candidate saying that we should end the wars and bring them home. So the veterans were kind of speaking with their wallets on that one, and then when you throw into the mix that the active duty military are actually committing suicide at a rate 50% higher than the civilian body, and we lost more troops last year to suicide than we did the continuing occupation. And
unbelievable, Michael. That's another very, very profound, deep situation that needs to be looked at. Again, I can't see the forest through the trees. This is real. This is scary. I've read a lot about it. I've seen it on TV. There was a whole situation with some VA or something in Texas where a lot of veterans, I believe, were taking their own lives. PTSD, it's a real thing. My brother Tom, who's 60 years old now, he had his first bout of PTSD 32 years after he got home from Vietnam, when his two kids graduated from college and moved out of the house, and he ran out of projects to do around the house. He got up in his head, and a guy that had been clean and sober since the day he got back in 1973, drank half a bottle of whiskey and just about took his own life. So this hits home for me. They live in a rural area outside New York, and he took his whole arsenal of Glocks. He took his Glocks.
That's actually something I was going to point out, because that's actually something that's happening a lot right now, where soldiers are coming home, they're talking to the VA, getting diagnosed with PTSD, and then the government is turning around and saying, "Oh, well, now you're mentally unstable. I'm going to take away your right to own a firearm." Absolutely.
I'm not going to go there. I'm very, I get very emotional about this whole NRA thing and the firearms and everything. That might be another time. It's a catch-22, a paradox, whatever you want to say. It's scary, but the whole thing is, I know from my fiance or ex brother-in-law, he was injured in Iraq. He's a U.S. Army soldier. He got sold a bill of goods. He got drunk one night, and a girl that he was engaged to talked him into signing up for military because she knew she would get some benefits out of that. She needed some medical, and the whole time he was in boot camp, this kid was terrified. He just really didn't know what he got into. He's basically a pacifist, and before he knew it, he was over in Iraq and with a gun and traveling in a armored Humvee, and unfortunately his sergeant, he was driving, his sergeant, his commanding officer, was riding shotgun and asked Matt a question, which Matt was my fiance's ex-brother-in-law's name, a question that's going to haunt him the rest of life. He said, "Should we continue down this road and do a little more observation, or should we turn around now?" And Matt said, let's just go. Let's go till we, a couple more miles and see if anything's up." And about 100 yards after Matt, basically gave the sergeant the answer that he thought that, I'm going to impress the sergeant, and this is, I'm going to get some brownie points here. They ran over an IED, and the Humvee was blown up. The sergeant was killed instantly, and Matthew suffered suffered some severe shrapnel wounds in his arm, and he still has pieces of shrapnel in his skull, embedded in his skull, and the whole PTSD. This poor kid, his PTSD and his paranoia and everything that came out. Not only that, is he very, very ill mentally, but the government, their answer to that was it's beyond putting a Band-Aid on an obvious wound.
Yeah.
They got him on some very strong opiate painkillers, and he became addicted to those in a matter of weeks. And now this kid lives at home. His day consists of popping Oxycontins, the 80 milligram, the strongest ones, like their Pez M&Ms, and he is just not. He's gone. He's not there. He's a ghost.
Wow.
And it's a very,
really
very sad situation. So that hits home too.
So I would just like to wrap up with saying,
Sure.
because I feel like a lot of times, especially in the mainstream media, they kind of present it as if you're anti-war, you're not supporting the troops.
Oh.
And that you don't support our military, you don't support, if you don't support these wars that were never even declared by Congress and are, against international law, against the constitutional law, that you somehow don't support the troops, when, as we've, been discussing here, it seems like bringing them home and worrying about our own borders than other borders overseas is a lot more beneficial to us as a people. It's a lot more beneficial to our boys who are overseas, and it would lower spending from the government, and I think it just seems like an all-around thing. So despite what the media says, I want to say that there is a way to support the troops without supporting the wars, and that maybe we should be putting more pressure on our government to stop these wars and raising awareness with people around us about how awful these wars are and how awful our government's foreign policy is.
Michael, I totally concur with that thought pattern. It's dead on. Let's bring the boys home, and the media. It's unfortunate, but some people have enough common sense and enough education or both that they know that the media basically is a mouthpiece. They're the original talking heads, and they're fence sitters, and they're gonna write headlines that sell newspapers. And unfortunately, it's sad but true. Another paradox. What they're writing as these spectacular headlines are keeping the boys overseas and not allowing, putting pressure on the government in many ways to keep them over there and put them in harm's way. It's very unfortunate. One last thing, I'm an English teacher, so as far as paradoxes go, my favorite one, pretty ugly, icy hot, is military intelligence. Think about that. Military intelligence. Anyhow, peace out.
I hear you. All right, well, thank you very much for your time.
All right.